Hi, I'm Bob Henkel, and I'm the founder and manager of the Old Glory Landmark, the big flag at Centennial Park in Helena. Last year, I had the great honor as a World War II U.S. Marine veteran to go on the last honor flight to take veterans to the war memorials in Washington, D.C. So that gives you kind of an idea of my age. But in my former life, I produced travel films to bring people from around the country to our wonderful grand Old West. And that was part of my job as running Sage Advertising as a client, the State of Montana Travel Department, and also the Yellowstone Park Company. So what are we doing here now, 40 years later? The Montana Historical Society, through a grant of the National Film Preservation Foundation, has taken 5 of our award-winning films and preserving them. And they make a scene-by-scene color correction into a negative, and from there it's digitized. And so this film right here goes to DVDs or thumb drives, and films last about 50 years before they deteriorate, and digitizing lasts forever. This year's production was a fast-moving, colorful travelogue entitled Explore the Old West Trail Country. It was narrated by Montanan Chet Huntley, with production by myself, Bob Henkel, and Jim Graff. Sponsors of the 1973 production were the 5 Old West Trail states. They were Montana, Wyoming, North, South Dakota, and Nebraska. The Old West Trail Country was a promotional vehicle to bring people to our area from around the United States. Our film is spiced with historical sites, powwows, rodeos, our national parks, and other attractions to our area. It was really an unforgettable adventure for Jim Graff and I to capture on film the great things that we have here in the Old West, to share with millions of people on television and school children throughout the United States. So here it is, after not being seen for 40 years, is Explore the Old West Trail Country. I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to the Old West Trail Country. My name is Chet Huntley. This is my kind of living, and for the next few minutes, I would like to share it with you. You just witnessed one of the reasons why I'm proud to call this country my home. A Western rodeo, be it large or small, is exciting proof that the wild, rollicking West still lives. Here in Old West Trail Country, you can reach out and touch it. But there is more to our modern-day West than a shake-em-up rodeo on a Saturday afternoon. Come along with me. I'll show you a few of the things the Old West Trail has to offer its visitors. The region called the Old West Trail covers 5 large western states: Nebraska, North and South Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana. Before they achieved statehood, these territories were crossed by wagon trails marked by such famous frontier scouts as John Coulter and Jim Bridger. These twisting routes through this unmapped wilderness allowed pioneers to settle the prairies and mountain valleys of the great Northwest. It was here, on this huge stage, that the great Western drama was enacted. Many historians refer to it as the winning of the West. At Nebraska's Scottsbluff National Monument, you can still see the deep ruts carved by the covered wagons. These prairie schooners lurched and bounced along the Oregon Trail toward the Pacific Ocean 2,000 miles away. There were a few Army forts along the way for their protection, but very few. For the pioneer, the way west was oftentimes a trail of broken dreams. Where the plains meet the mountains, that's a brief but accurate description of the geography of the Old West Trail country. Granite peaks, rugged sandstone cliffs, and rolling prairie land are laced by rivers and sprinkled with lakes to form a vast landscape of never-ending change. You've watched this scene in 100 Western movies, covered wagons carrying adventuresome Americans to a distant land, yearning to start a new life in new surroundings. The Old West Trail country is famous for reenactments of its colorful, exciting heritage. Here at Fort Seward, North Dakota, the past comes alive as a wagon trail chases the sun westward. It would be hard to find a more romantic, dashing figure reminiscent of the Wild West than Buffalo Bill Cody. Pony Express rider, Indian scout, buffalo hunter, and worldwide showman. To millions of people, William F. Cody was an exciting symbol of the American West. He left his mark throughout the Old West Trail region. Today, you can still thrill to his exciting Wild West show at Scouts Rest Ranch near North Platte, Nebraska. Deadwood, South Dakota, where they still mine for gold, welcomes you to a lively look into the Rowdy Past. Here's where Calamity Jane, Wild Bill Hickok, and other famous frontier folk shot first and asked questions later. While the Civil War raged back east, the cry of gold echoed in many mountain canyons out here during the rip-roaring 1860s. At Virginia City, Montana, near Alder Gulch, the gold has long since disappeared. But the good times live on. If you haven't seen a good old-fashioned Western gunfight lately, then you might pay a visit to exciting Medora, North Dakota. General George Armstrong Custer was a dashing United States cavalry officer and a hero of the Civil War. His job was to control the hostile Sioux and Cheyenne Indian tribes so that the West could be settled peacefully. He didn't quite get the job done. The site of Custer's battleground is now a national monument. A tragic casualty of the winning of the West was the huge American bison, or buffalo. They were no match for the white man's gunpowder. Where millions once roamed, only a few hundred now remain. America's largest herd is located here at Custer State Park in South Dakota. If you want to glimpse horses that have never been roped, much less saddled and ridden, head north to the Pryor Mountains that straddle the Montana-Wyoming border. You'll see Mustangs that are as free and wild as the wind. Captains Lewis and Clark were intrepid adventurers. They were among the first to explore the wilderness between St. Louis and the Pacific Ocean. This giant limestone cavern is named for them even though they never set foot in it. Back on July 25, 1806, William Clark carved his name on a sandstone cliff near the Yellowstone River. It is the only physical evidence that remains of the famous Lewis and Clark expedition. The Old West Trail country is a vast treasure house of unusual shapes and forms. Remnants of a volcanic age, Wyoming's Devil's Tower became the first national monument in the United States. It has since become an attraction for nerveless mountain climbers. Another national monument is found in the granite cliffs of western South Dakota. Mount Rushmore, with 4 American presidents sculptured in white stone, is a shrine to the United States democracy. Washington, Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Lincoln look out with an air of bold majesty upon the beautiful Black Hills. The broken, jumbled region of North and South Dakota is called the Badlands. It is a land of unmatched natural beauty. The region abounds with life and is ablaze with a brilliant tapestry of shape and color. The Badlands Valley floors, splashed with vivid greens, are best appreciated from the back of a good pony. You see the Old West as the Indians, explorers, fur trappers, and soldiers first encountered it. These Badlands of unique beauty cast their spell on the man who was destined to become the nation's 26th president. His log ranch house is now the focal point of North Dakota's Teddy Roosevelt National Park. North of the Badlands, in this same fertile state, is a very special plot of ground. The International Peace Garden spans the boundary between Canada and the United States. the gardens are dedicated to the ideal of everlasting peace between these two great nations. It is difficult to visit Old West Trail country without getting your feet wet somewhere along the way. The snowy peaks of the Rocky Mountains are a cloud-high storehouse of crystal clear water. Fast-running rivers like the Snake, the Platte, the Green, and the Yellowstone all start from small rivulets cascading downward from the Continental Divide. The mighty Missouri River meanders through 4 of the 5 Old West Trail states. The result is a playground of natural lakes and man-made reservoirs, waiting for those who enjoy doing their thing in a variety of different watery ways. Flathead Lake in the northwestern corner of Montana holds a special fascination for those that like to mix action with relaxation. The Flathead is just one of the many get-away-from-it-all recreation areas you'll find along the Old West Trail. This 5-state region boasts an exciting variety of scenic hideaways where the family can spend a few happy hours or an entire glorious vacation. You might think of these 5 states as one giant zoo. A zoo without cages or fences. Wildlife is abundant here. Just about every species of bird, mammal, and fish that Lewis and Clark encountered nearly 2 centuries ago are still around for you to see and to photograph. But you must take the time to seek out and discover them. Slow down as you travel the highways and byways of the Old West. For a look at the very best in Western art, follow the Old West Trail. Gaze at masterpieces created by such world-famous artists as Remington, Russell, Catlin, Bodmer, and Seltzer. The very finest of Western art and artifacts is handsomely presented at numerous collections throughout the 5 states. There's something for everyone who will take the time to tour Montana, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, and Wyoming. Approved Old West Trail attractions are marked by the sign of the buffalo head. Look for this symbol. It guarantees that you've come to the right place for relaxation, excitement, and downright good times. Not far away from Nebraska's famous Boys Town is Pioneer Village, where a nickel buys a ride on an old steam merry-go-round. Following the Old West Trail is even more fun when you bring the kids along. From tots to teens, there is plenty here to keep them amused from sunup to sundown. All the Western heroes gained fame out here. Chief Sitting Bull, General Custer, Buffalo Bill, and Wild Bill Hickok, to name but a few. It's not difficult to imagine the clatter of their horses' hooves still ringing in such places as Deadwood, Cheyenne, Virginia City, Ogallala, and Medora. Yesterday is still here. Don't let the name trail mislead you. This country has been civilized for quite a few years. All the comforts of home are at your fingertips. Modern hotels and motels dot a network of high-speed highways crisscrossing the region. Commercial airlines land daily at busy airports in every corner of every state. Numerous lakes and rivers connect to form watery routes for touring this scenic land. Some visitors prefer to see it on foot, retracing trails once trod by Indians on the hunt for deer, elk, or bear. Don't try to see this big, sprawling country on a tight schedule. You'll miss out on such thrills as discovering Indian arrowheads or swirling pans like a sourdough miner looking anxiously for shiny flecks of gold dust. It is difficult to drive across this land in the summertime without being detoured by a peppy Western parade, complete with high-stepping majorettes and high-stepping horses. The granddaddy of them all is the world-renowned Frontier Days in Cheyenne, Wyoming. The sound of bagpipes in Red Lodge, Montana means it's August, and the 8-day ethnic extravaganza called the Festival of Nations has begun. With the dawning of each new day, the rich heritage of a different nationality is presented to the visitors. Meanwhile, over at the Stir Museum in Nebraska, the pioneer streets rock to the stamping and clapping of a good old country square dance. Travel modes seem to have come full circle. Lots of visitors nowadays have chosen to camp their way across these 5 great states. They are carrying their kitchens and bedrooms with them, just like the pioneers did over the old Oregon Trail. But these modern explorers have added a few extra refinements, such as fishing rods and shiny lures. And for good reason, too. Sport fishing out here is tops. The trout, in all his many variations, is the prize attraction. By boot or by boat, he is stalked by those who seek an escape from the frantic pace of today's metropolitan living. Plan on wetting a line when you tour the Old West. Here at Big Sky of Montana, amid the mountains, streams, and forests, you live the good life. Friends come easy out this way, and a Western friendship has a way of hanging on for a long, long time. The Old West Trail Country boasts several magnificent national parks. Each one has a distinctive quality all its own. Montana's Glacier Park is a jumble of cloud-scraping mountains and pine-carpeted valleys. It's a breathtaking land where the gods of the Blackfeet Indian tribes dwelled in the jagged peaks. Each year, these spirits are joined by 1 million visitors as motorists wind up and over the Going to the Sun highway. Lofty crags of Grand Teton National Park rise abruptly from the dense forests of Wyoming's Jackson Hole. A rendezvous for early fur trappers, this valley, with its colossal mountains, stretches the imagination. The peaks seem to be painted on a giant canvas. But they are for real. They can be touched. And if one is strong enough and skilled enough, they can be climbed to their summits. But you don't have to be an accomplished alpinist to enjoy this one-of-a-kind country. The Tetons offer something for everyone. Symbol of all the national parks, Yellowstone's Old Faithful Geyser is probably the most photographed wonder of the world. She is a graceful ballerina that has never disappointed her audience. But this hot water miracle is just one of countless inspiring sights in our first and largest national park. The variety of North American wildlife in Yellowstone is without parallel. The rivers and lakes are cold and clear and teeming with trout. Mountain landscapes surround you. This strange, marvelous corner of Wyoming was discovered a century ago by adventuresome fur trappers. Today, you can discover the many faces of Yellowstone Park for yourself. It has scarcely changed over the intervening years. Many of you have, no doubt, been to our nation's first and foremost national park, Yellowstone. I never tire of seeing the incredible wonders of nature here. If there were nothing else in these 5 western states, Yellowstone Park alone would merit a trip to Old West Trail country. But as you have seen during the past 25 minutes, this is just a small part of the action that awaits you on the Old West Trail. I invite you to carve out your own trail across green rolling prairies, over colorful badlands, and into the cool pine forests of the Rocky Mountains. Look for the buffalo head symbol to lead the way. I hope we see you soon in Old West Trail country.